Welcome to Idea Success TV. Idea Success TV is your video cast that focuses on trends, practices, and solutions for moving ideas to action for both purpose and profit. Hear stories from people who have taken their ideas and brought them to reality to make an income and to impact the world. Be a part of ideation and pitch sessions. Learn about business trends and discover best practices and innovative ideas for bringing thoughts into reality and plans into action. And now, here's your host, Sylvia Henderson.
Hello, I'm Sylvia Henderson, your host, and welcome to the inaugural program of Idea Success TV. I'm so excited. And this program episode, I'm calling your ideation station, and I'll explain that in a moment. But I have a co-host. I have a guest co-host, and that is Susan Cohn. Susan.
I'm so excited to be here.
Great. And Susan's my ideation partner. And again, you'll find out why in a few minutes. So together with this segment, we're going to hear from an entrepreneur or business owner or professional in these ideation station sessions who has something he or she needs to get out of their heads and get clarity on in order to move forward and in order to be in action. So I have a co-host as often as I can because, we hear the same words differently. And we also have two different perspectives on the ideas that are presented to us. Because ideation is kind of like brainstorming. It's somebody having an idea, a thought, or something they want to get clear about. And when they tell it to somebody else, the somebody else helps them get out of their heads and helps them see things and hear things differently. They get a different perspective. So, while we're working on this program on their idea, you're going to experience the process of getting clarity about something that you might have on your mind or in your heart. And you're also going to hear something that you might be able to apply to your own business and your own life. So my hope is that you experience something during this episode that you can relate to or you can learn from that helps you on your own idea journey. And so today, our ideation guest is Sharon Smith. And Sharon is coming to us virtually. Sharon, hi.
Hi.
Hi, Sharon.
So Sharon is smiling at nothing because she can't see anything other than the studio a little bit. So Sharon Smith is an executive coach. Her company is called C-Suite. That's the letter C. C-Suite Results. Because corporate executives reside in the C-suite, CEO, CFO, C, whatever O. And I am not about to read a whole long bio because we'll never get to the ideation. However, just to give you a few little pointers about Sharon. So Sharon works as an executive coach. She focuses on helping leaders create organizations of unparalleled excellence. When employees thrive, so does the organization and the bottom line, and that's what Sharon helps the organization do. She's an author. Her book is called The Corporate Detox, and it's aimed at, too many people are counting down the days until Friday or just hanging in there, and so Sharon has seen from her decade as a consultant, more than half of which was on the road, that too many people are disengaged from what they do, and Sharon helps them to re-engage. There's all kinds of experience. Let me read this through. Lots of coaching certifications. And I'm trying to find out where your education is. Received her undergraduate degree in accounting from Eastern Michigan University and her master's in forensic science. High-tech crimes investigation. Oh, man, that's another whole story. From the George Washington University in Washington, D.C. So, Sharon, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Sylvia. So good to be here.
Now, one of the things I also want to make sure our viewers and listeners realize is, you don't have to have, for ideation, you don't have to have either a new idea, you don't have to have a problem per se. It might be just something you've been sort of noodling around in your head and you just need somebody else to hear it, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, I didn't think of that. So this is totally unscripted. We have no idea what Sharon's going to tell us. And so you're going to literally see us in process because this is what we do. What is the one of the commercials? It's what we do. So Sharon, talk to us. How come, what are you noodling over, or what made you decide, I want to go through this?
Actually, perfect timing, because I have a decision I need to make, and I'm actually not sure what direction I want to go with this. So let me give you a minute of background or so and give you the challenge or opportunity potentially that I'm facing. As an entrepreneur, I've outlaid a lot of money and investments in all kinds of different things. It may be whether it's automation, marketing tools, outsourcing to folks who can help me implement my learning program, or coaching, people coaching me, just all kinds of things, right, that entrepreneurs outlay. And every time I meet someone, it feels like there's something else to spend money on. And I have a very small budget right now. The business is still growing. It's still in startup phase, which means very little budget to spend on these things. But every time I see something shiny and new, I'm like, ooh, I need that. Well, I was presented with, I'm going to call it an opportunity because it seems like an opportunity. However, this is where I need your help. There is a very large women's business conference here in the DC metro area at the end of the year. And I have been asked whether I want to sponsor one of the rooms. What that means is specifically I would be sponsoring the leadership track, which is perfect because my ideal client is an executive, and those are the folks that would most likely be going into that room to hear all the different speakers throughout the day. By sponsoring that room, every time there's a new speaker, and I believe there's going to be a new speaker every hour basically in that room, I get 5 minutes or so at the beginning to introduce myself as the sponsor of the room, pass out whatever I want about myself. By then, my online learning program should be available, so I could have, introductory offers and all kinds of whatever I want to do in that room to speak about myself and then introduce whoever the speaker is. And that sounds fantastic. It's $2,000, and I can do a payment plan as long as it's all paid by September. I'm trying to figure out whether I'm either going to be in front of my ideal client. It's really hard to know who will actually be in front of, and whether I want to spend money that I don't have, because I keep doing that, for something that could be an opportunity. It could be absolutely, one client out of that could absolutely be an amazing return on investment, or it could come to nothing because I got, very little control over who's in that room and what they're looking for and all of that. So that's what I'm trying to determine, is if I want to outlay $2,000 to sponsor this room at a very big conference, a well-known conference. So I know there are people there. I was at the conference last year. I was probably 500 or 600 people at the conference. The question is, are the people going to be the people who are the decision makers and the people that I actually want to be in front of, and will it potentially be worth it?
Cool. Man, this is like, I think all of us who are consultants, coaches, whatever, face that challenge. And just so viewers, and I have no idea which camera to aim this at, but for Sharon, for you to see that my ideation process starts with a bunch of sticky notes. And for viewers, I don't expect you to hone in on this for the camera, but this is sort of the beginning of my thinking. Susan thinks visually, which is really interesting. She takes visual notes. So she's got her own means of writing down thoughts in her head. So usually when you start with the ideation process, because we're both teaching as well as helping you, we start with questions. So just like a mastermind group or anything else, so I'm going to ask the first one. For this conference, have you attended the conference before?
Yes, I was at the conference last year, so I know that it's well attended.
Okay.
And can I ask you to follow up on that? Because I was going to ask that first. Do you have any ongoing exposure with these people? Is this an ongoing group that you have connections and contact with at other points during the year?
Potentially. They put on workshops. There are lots of events that this organization puts on that I can obviously be part of. Mm-hmm. I don't have a regular per se, like it's not like I see them every month or at some kind of event that's scheduled, but they do a lot. I'm also hoping to potentially be a speaker at the same conference, but I I'm looking to make this decision before I even find out if I'm a speaker. And if I'm a speaker, I could still host the room. There's no,
Wow.
It's not one or the other. I could still
Right.
choose if I want to host the room. And then when it's my speaking session, I could have someone else speak about me and then introduce me for that one session. And I would still be in that room talking to everybody that comes through that room throughout the day. So I'm trying to make this decision regardless of whether I'm speaking or not.
Right.
Aha.
So, sorry, just to clarify. So, is it an existing group that meets regularly between now and then?
I don't believe it's a group that meets regularly. It's an organization that puts on workshops and events throughout the year. I do not believe it's an organization or a group that meets regularly.
Okay.
So even though you're making the decision separate from the speaking, will you? Does having a room also enable you to have a vendor table, or?
No, and I'm not in a business where I care to have a vendor table. So that for me isn't even a thought process because I don't really have a product. I don't think vendor tables work for my industry per se. So that's not even a consideration, but it's a good question. For me, it doesn't work.
How would you rate yourself on how good can you be up there in those 5 minutes?
I am a good speaker. I hate to be someone who
No.
tries to toot their own horn, but I am.
Please
I am a
toot
good
your own
speaker.
horn.
I'll let Sylvia even agree or disagree
she
with me
is.
because she's heard me speak.
Yes.
But I believe that with the right people helping me craft that message, and I've got some of those, that having the right message and the right offer, I think I can do a very good job getting that information across and not being just noise in the room for 5 minutes or 10 minutes before the speaker speaks.
And as a room sponsor, may I assume that you can have your marketing collateral available for everybody to take,
Absolutely.
and
And
actually to have them in the seats so
Yes.
that, okay.
Yep, that's what they do it last year. Yep.
And how about sort of the opportunity cost side of this? If you do this, are there other things that you're pondering that it means that you can't do them?
That's a great question, Susan. That's a really great question. So if I spend that $2,000, it's $2,000 I don't have to spend on something else is how I look at that opportunity cost. And right now, I don't feel like there's something else I'm thinking about purchasing that I wouldn't be able to purchase if I did this. There's still some small things I need for the business and want for the business and we'll be doing. Microphone and stuff for my podcast and some other equipment, monthly, subscriptions for email automation, things I'm going to be doing anyway. And I don't feel like it's not this or that. I just need to decide if I really want to spend that kind of money on something that I'm just not, I just don't know. I just don't know it. And there's also that I've spent money on all kinds of things before and I haven't always seen the ROI. So there's that kind of living in the past, which I know better than to use past experiences, but I still am a little bit stuck on that.
We all have those things that
Oh my
we look
gosh.
back on and grimace and think, what was I thinking?
Yep.
And the interesting thing is I usually make very quick decisions because I just am very more intuitive and I just go, yep, that sounds good. Let's do it.
Yep.
And some of those quick decisions don't always work out well. So this time I'm really grateful for this opportunity to talk through this and maybe have you guys ask me questions that I wouldn't have asked myself, or giving myself the opportunity even through the process, maybe think of some stuff that I hadn't thought of before as well.
So as the room sponsor, do you have to stay in that room, or can you do an intro, do your 5 minutes, and then go take advantage of another workshop?
That's a great question, and that I would have to ask them and follow up, and then have to decide. And part of it may be that I would be interested in the speakers in that room anyway, because it's the same track that if I were speaking, I'd be speaking in, and they're leadership folks like myself. And so I very well might find that to be perfectly interesting. But you're right, there may be some others that I'd want to poke my head in and check out, and that would be a good question to find out. I would assume I can leave because once they speak, as long as I get back before it's over, and I can, make sure people have things. And I mean, really, at the end of the day, I'm thinking it's mine to do with what I want. And so if I leave, it's up to me to determine how I handle that time.
I wondered do you have a banner, roll up?
I don't currently. The conference is until December, so those are the kinds of things that I could, if I decided I needed one, but no, I don't currently have one.
Okay. Because what the thought that's in my head was, I know it's hard to separate questions from solution or ideas. But so in a real coaching session, I guess you do more questioning. But I have to get the ideas out when they come.
Right.
Because what I was thinking was to have a banner that stays at the room, so so that people can see your collateral, whether the speaker, in fact, maybe up front in the corner. So when the other speaker is speaking, they can still see your banner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll have to ask if I can have a banner in the room, and then where would the placement of it be? My guess is it'd be probably in the back of the room, but the back of the room is where the door usually is, where people are coming in. So it could be, so when they're coming out, they'd be walking right by it on the way out with me standing there and handing them stuff or whatnot. But yeah, I'm writing that question down.
Sometimes
Have a banner in the room.
Sometimes you may have to just do it up front in an angle. And what is that? Beg for forgiveness. Beg for forgiveness instead of ask for permission.
Yeah, I'm good with that too.
I'm curious, do the organizers, are they able to share who attended last year? So that audience question is always really the tough one. Are you going to have the right people in the seats? So is there any way to get any data that would inform your decision?
Thank you. That's a great question that I'm writing down because I want to ask that.
How
sorry.
thorough? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say I'm also going to be following up with a gal that I know did a room sponsorship last year.
Great.
To find out what ROI she got from it. I just haven't done that yet. So you guys are getting at
Great.
me. And these are great questions that I can ask her also.
Right.
So these are good questions for me to have.
The other thing about ROI is your follow-up afterwards. Both your social media or your posting ahead of time. Hey, I'm hosting a room, or I'm sponsoring a room. Come for the leadership track, whatever you would say ahead of time. But the follow-up too. What's your funnel for your way of capturing the people who've come in the room, even though they haven't heard you speak? So some kind of a way to capture the traffic email, and then and then the follow-up afterwards.
Yeah, so what I'll end up doing if I did something like this is I would have something on everyone's seat that they could fill out, and there would have to be a reason for them to fill out. They'll get something for free, obviously, by turning it into the fishbowl or whatever at the end. They'll get a free call with me, or they'll get a copy of my book mailed to them, or they'll get something right, for filling that out. I just wrote down the question for myself, though, to ask what access will I have to contact the attendees after, in terms of will I get information on who attended.
Yeah.
Right.
The challenge is they don't have to sign up for a track. So just because they attended doesn't mean they were in my room.
Right.
So I need to figure that out. But it's still, and I can ask this other lady who sponsored last year how she did that.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering too, because it's a significant outlay of money.
Yeah.
Also, how about a giveaway? Could you give away a copy of your book in each session?
I'm sure I could do whatever I want in that respect. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I could say, fill out the, fill this out, drop it in the back. So, I don't know that I have a chance to do the drawing in the room.
Right.
But I'll just say from each session, I will be drawing one before even the next folks come in. So the chance of winning is, greater because there's fewer people in the room, or, versus everybody. So yes, I could definitely do a giveaway of something, a book, a free, coaching session, all kinds of things.
Well, one thing, I've been trying to stick with the questions too, and the part of me who was always like, well,
Yeah, go ahead.
But I do want to bring up, the reason I asked the question about are there other events that you can be going to is, of the little I understand about how all of this works, they always say, if you take out like a one-time ad, it's kind of a waste, right? You want to be reinforcing. So if you have other points of contact with these people where they're going to have an idea who you are, and then this is going to have much bigger impact than if it's just a one-time thing and I don't know you from Adam before I walked into that room. So
Sure. The lady who organizes this whole thing, she's been doing it for years. She also has a PR type company. And the sooner people sign up as room sponsors, the sooner she'll be including them in all of her messaging. So people who become room sponsors now will be part of the advertising of the conference now, versus people who sign up 3 months from now have missed out on 3 months of being part of the advertising. So while I love what you're saying, I have to find out about other events and everywhere she's going to. I need to find out everywhere she's going to be advertising her her sponsors and how she's going to be advertising her sponsors.
And it would be great if there's a way you could get in front of those people at any of those things. Like, hey, we're going to be doing this conference. So-and-so, you're going to be one of our sponsors. Can you talk a little bit about, whatever? It'd be so great if you knew you were speaking too, because that would make it a much easier decision, I would think. But anyway, it is what it is.
Well, it sounded like, can you declare that you're speaking, or you need to actually send
No,
in
my
a speaking?
application's been submitted.
Like,
Yeah, no, I can't declare anything.
Like some of
I
us.
can declare that I'm going to be a sponsor for money.
Yeah. And so even in your advertising, if there's if you could have I'm thinking, and this is coming from somebody who still has to work on their own website and web pages and all that. But what I do know is for this conference, if you were to have the room, have a special web page so that in all of your marketing, it's, come to csuiteresults.com/great conference. And that way you've got, and you have a giveaway so that when she's marketing you and advertising you, there's just one link that she tells people to go to. And that one link would be your lead capture.
Okay.
For just even people interested and who might download something from there. I'm thinking, go ahead. Yeah.
I'll just say, another thing that I sort of toss out when I'm making this, is it worth the investment, blah, 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 is how many clients would I have to get for this to be a worthwhile thing to do?
Right. One client coming from this could easily be just a break-even point.
Okay.
Easily.
Right.
And depending on what the client wanted or what else it could lead to, it could be absolutely a very worthwhile event. Yes.
So typically at conferences, when I'm talking to my coach clients and speaker clients, typically at the end of a conference, it's hard to expect a monetary result from the conference directly. Conferences are where you get your list, where you build your list. So so the ROI is going to be more, how many, would 100 people on your list make you happy that you could target follow-up messages to, and it's that follow-up that should lead to actual money. Now, that's typically. Now, sometimes, you sit down and talk to somebody on the side at a conference and they say, oh, I want you. Well, hey, you've just made your... But to go in expecting to make money back from the conference directly, that's shaky. So,
sure. And when I say one client coming from the conference could be a break-even point, it would be based on, I would assume, a follow-up conversation, not someone at the conference hiring me on the spot. It would have to do with the fact that they saw me, heard me, liked me, and wanted more information from me because of the conference. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
But no, I like what you said, Sylvia, about how many people would have to be added to my list to make that investment worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Two things. On one end, I think it is incredibly valuable for a coach because we don't have a come look at my box of soap suds and how clean they get your laundry kind of thing, right? We're really selling ourselves. And does this feel like a good fit to you? Right. Yeah. So I think in that sense, that opportunity to get your face in front of so many people all day long is pretty amazing, because you're not just talking about one workshop, but everybody who comes into that room is going to get to hear you speak and have a way to assess, oh, does this feel like somebody that I might want to work with? So I think there's that piece. But the question I wanted to ask too is like, how excited about this would you be? So there's the intangible sort of, is this going to motivate you to do some things that you've been wanting to do, and be something that moves you forward?
That's a great question. If it weren't so far out, I would say probably would spur me into making sure things got done. It's December, so there are things that I'm planning to have done no matter what prior to, should be done by September regardless. But this would be a potentially great opportunity from the perspective of having my online program done. I want it done by fall. ensuring it's done, by fall, and that it's packaged properly. And that one of the things I can be letting these folks know about is the program. And what it's for and how it would help, how it helps organizations and individuals, and having something along that I can pass out and have that created. Yes, I think it would probably spark me to create things that if I weren't going to be in front of people, I might not be creating in terms of collateral marketing material, which probably need to be created anyways.
Okay.
Can I just follow up on that one thing?
Because
Sorry.
we're coming up to close, but that's okay.
That's kind of the more concrete side, but also just from hey, I'm somebody who's sponsoring this room for $2,000. I must be pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So because I think it does. It changes our perception of ourselves. So that was my question about, is that a piece of it?
I don't know if it is. I think a year ago it might have been, but I think in that year I've realized that certain things that seem impressive at one point in your career and life, you realize whoever's paying for it gets it. And without trying to downplay, it's important. She's not calling everyone, obviously, just trying to get anyone to sponsor it. She called me to want to know more about my business, and she saw the natural fit there. I think that made a lot of sense, and I appreciated it. But I've also, I think, become less excitable about some things after the fact, because some things I've been excited about, I realized, they're really not as shiny and awesome as I thought they were, the way they were being presented at the time.
There is that perception from attendees. That's an intangible. Woo! If she could sponsor, if C-suite results could sponsor a room, then maybe she's a little bit more successful than the other. I mean, that's something to bank on. So to kind of bring this to a close, you got some questions that you're going to ask both the conference organizer and somebody who's done something in the past. What else have you gotten just from this?
I need to find out, and maybe one of you has the answer, but I need to find out what's the average dollar amount to say to acquire a new lead onto my list, that each lead is worth X dollars, right? So if I'm going to spend $2,000, how many leads do I need to add to my list to make it a good ad? Is there a dollar amount, like a lead should cost you $10, $50, $5? Do you know?
The answer is it depends. How good a marketer are you in terms of processing those leads to bring them to a close? How much do you charge for your fee? So how much is a client worth? And if you're a $10,000 an engagement coach, and I'm just throwing these numbers out, by the way, for viewers, if you're a $10,000 an engagement coach, the sales cycle is going to be a lot longer.
Right.
Than if you're a $500 coach. So unfortunately, that's an it depends.
Okay. So that's something I want to figure out a little bit more. That was a good question that you asked. I never thought of it from the perspective of just maybe even if they become a client a year from now because they've been on my list, they've been listening to my podcast, and they've been watching my my stuff. So how much is it worth? How much is a lead? How much should I be paying to acquire a lead if I can assume that I'm going to acquire at least 100 leads throughout the day? If there's 25 people, in each, or, average or whatever. If I'm going to acquire 100 people at $2,000, is that a good lead acquisition dollar amount? I don't know. So that was a good question.
Okay.
It's really helpful.
So to close then for you, do you feel you got something? Do you feel, what immediate action? Okay.
Well, yes, because like I mentioned earlier, I make a lot of gut decisions, which means I'm not always great at asking questions.
We all do.
So a lot of what you guys ask me, I don't have answers to, but now they are questions that I can go get answers to, which will help me in the process of deciding.
Good.
Yay.
This was great. And way too short. So Sharon, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
And for sharing your very real, and I think many viewers are going to be able to relate to this, because I know I'm going through some conference, what do I do issues too, or thoughts too. Honest.
Yeah, let us know.
I will.
And send me info on the conference so I can come see you.
Or inviting you to the conference. It's a good conference.
So, like I said, thanks for being here with it. And Susan, thank you for being my guest co-host.
Thanks,
And I
Sylvia.
appreciate both of you for coming out, spending your time, and as well as spending the time with listeners and viewers, even though you don't know who they are yet. So, to viewers, to listeners, if you like what you heard, if you like what you saw on this episode, there's more Idea Success TV programming at ideasuccess.tv, and you've seen the website down in the lower part of the screen. That's ideasuccess.tv. Yes, it's not .com, it's .tv. Susan, you want any last-minute words? Actually, how do they reach you?
You can find me at handmadelifecoaching.com. And I do career design coaching, help you identify your gifts and talents, and so life can be fun and exciting and fulfilling.
Great. We've got a large distribution network, so you'll find our programs on internet and broadcast channels listed at our website. And I invite you to connect with me as soon as this program ends, while it's still in your mind, so that you keep current as to the new programs that are coming out, and you learn of related events and resources that are available to you from my collaborative partners all around me and from me. So I'm all about getting ideas into action for income and impact. You've got ideas. My passion and my mission in life is to serve you and to make them your reality. With that, make a great day.
Thank you for watching Idea Success TV. Idea Success TV is a syndicated production of the Idea Success Network and Village Connector Media, the People's Prosperity Network. Permission to share, repost, and rebroadcast is freely given, provided it's done without charge of an access fee. If you have questions about this broadcast, or if you'd like to be a part of an upcoming segment, please contact us at Idea Success TV Contact. Thank you for listening and watching Idea Success TV.